Right, so now we've got it running. It's cold still. Got a big problem with cam or hydraulic tappets. Oil pressure light's off, but I want to check the oil pressure. The exhaust is blowing, and the exhaust is blowing on this side. So I can hear the exhaust blowing down here. Most of that is tappet, I think. No, it's coming from up here. There's a big breeze up here. I'm wondering if it's a dodgy inlet. We can check on the breathers. So I will just double check all the breather pipes. I know that the vacuum advance is not working. I also know that when I rev it, it's got sticky throttle. Right, stepper motor needs to be cleaned out. The stepper motor is at the back up here on the plenum, that thing just there. I need to make sure that that is cleaned out. I'm not going to fuss with LPG at the moment, but I need to research this system to find out how to make it richer, because it ain't rich enough. Right, now, that tappet's gone quiet now. Noisy tappet from cold. Might need a bit of a flash. There's the tick from the exhaust. That's not tappet, that's exhaust. It's on the outside of the head, which means it's generally, you can hear it on the outside of the head. More often than not, it's going to be exhaust manifold gasket. Hear it on the inside of the head, on either side of the plenum, then it's going to be tappets. That tick is definitely coming from down there, outside the engine. It could be the downpipe, because the downpipe on this side is at the back of the manifold. That sounds alright. We can run for a minute. Chuck some of these bits back in here. I've got a cap here, but it's actually for only 5,000. I ain't going to use it. I will probably get hold of a distributor Dr. cap, if you don't mind, David. They're not cheap, but they work. Like I said, that was me, don't worry about that. Very noisy tappets on startup though from cold. It shouldn't be that noisy. We've not looked really at the internal condition of the engine yet. Right, we're up to fairly normal operating conditions now. Let's see if the heater works. All of the door catches are quite stiff on this. Where are we? Blower. Does nothing. Yeah, blower does nothing. We have to get the heater out. This just made me laugh. Poor little thing. They're behind here. I'll just investigate, but chances are it's going to be a pair of horns. It needs a high and low. They sound like they're a bit past it. And one of the things I'm going to work on today is the electrical anomalies that are plaguing this car. Now, we've already experienced one of those electrical anomalies, and that was the hazard lights, hazard warning lights. You see, I can put the steering still back on. Oopsie. Oh, that was onto the bump strip. I've moved the car. Right, okay, so if I turn the ignition on now, does it start? Well, it started briefly. It's running on LPG, that's why. So we'll start it again. The tap is a bit quieter today. Let's get the bonnet open. Yeah, tappets are a lot quieter, which is good news. Put the body up. So the tappets are a lot quieter. I don't know why they were so noisy the other day when I first started this thing up, but that was a cold start. They do sound beefy, these things. I do like this Rover V8 4 litre, nice exhaust. We just need to seal it up. Right, this is one of the issues we've got here. This door is reluctant to open. Now, one of the problems we've got here is there's all manner of anomalies in here with the interior lights not working and so forth. We need to work out what's going on. Things like the rear wash wipe doesn't work, and various other bits and bobs like that. Now, a lot of those circuits are based behind this trim panel down here. And I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to see what works, what doesn't, and then we'll take it from there. Headlight wash doesn't work, but that's also related to, let's turn this thing off for a minute, because we know it starts now. Oh. It's off. Right, so we know it starts up. Right, interior lights. So, we've got ourselves a nice earth strap going down there to the multimeter, good old multimeter, and we check fuse B2 on the dash, B2, 12.72 volts, 12.72 volts, fuse is good. We go up to the light fitting, and we check voltage, 12.72 volts, and 12.72 volts. So there's voltage on both sides of the circuit, which is bizarre, because I would have thought one would be going to earth. Right, and bulb back in. Lights work on the switch, don't work on the door plunger. Let's get tailgates open at the moment as well. Let's put the other bulb back in again. Oh my goodness. I don't mind working in the cold weather. The problem I've got is this pissing injury. It hurts like hell. I mean, my other fingertips are cool. They're cold. You kind of get used to it. That really, really hurts in the cold weather. Right, so light working and light working. So the lights work off the switch, don't work off the courtesy. Do they work off any of the courtesy? Nope. So the entire courtesy circuit, no, and no. Does the bonnet light work off the courtesy circuit? Because again, this is another one. Nope. We might try to double check there is something up there. I can always undo that screw down there and just check there's voltage to the back of that switch. So that's the next thing. Let's just take one of these courtesy light switches out. Might as well start on this side because we've got a seat on this side to work with. Crosshead screwdriver. Bum 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 bum. We'll see if we've got voltage to the back of it. There is another fuse, but I haven't got the circuit diagram here, but we'll just do a quick testy westy, find out what on earthy worthy is going on -y. Richard Hudson, that was terrible. Behave yourself. Right, there's the little securing screw. Because there's all manner of puddle lights as well that should come on the edges of the door, so there's lights underneath the door. There we are. There he is. Not on. So the whole circuit around courtesy and everything is not working. Right, there's the wire. That should be getting 12 volts off that, so we'll just double check that fella. I'm getting some volts. Getting 12 volts. So I'm getting 12 volts, but it's not working. So I suspect that there's one thing that sits in the middle of all this circuit. Close you. Open you. Oops. And here we've got this fella here. Courtesy light delay units. Let's pull him out. So he comes out, this fella. I've got one of these spare in the unit. I'll go and get that out. Interior lights still work without it in place. So this is the circuit for the interior lights. Let me put you on pause. I can go into the unit and get another one of those. I'm leaving that one that belongs to David's car down there. Right, so I've got a couple of spares of these. I've plugged one in. There's David's, and lights are on. Puddle lamps are on. So you can see the puddle lamp is on still. Let's go round. We just need to close. I screwed in the courtesy lamp switch here. Let's close that. Is bonnet light now working? No, don't worry about bonnet light for the time being. Now what we need to do now is see if these lights go off. They should go off in about 20 seconds or so. So I've just literally just closed this door. So they go off. Dun dun dun. Or do they stay on? Ah. I've had this before where one of the switches doesn't always behave itself, and if there's one that's not going to behave itself, it will generally be the tailgate, top tailgate. They're all still on. So this is the reason why we're getting all sorts of issues with the central locking and so forth and the battery drain, because the interior lights are not going off. But we found an issue with this box of tricks up here, which is the courtesy lamp delay. I'll take that one out, put this one back in again. Right, I think I've got the interior lights largely behaving. This is quite a common fault on Range Rover Classics. It's the boot top tailgate has got one of the switches, and it sits just up here. I'll push the wire inside because I kind of didn't want it to operate. And all of a sudden, the lights are working. So if I open the back door, light comes on, and it takes about 15-20 seconds or so for it to go off. He says, is it not going to fucking work now? It was working beautifully. Right, okay, I'm going to change over the timing relay because we've got a pre-existing fault on this car with this timing relay. So I'm just going to take this off, drop that into there. I'm going to put my one on, so the lights are off now. Put my one on, and the lights stay off. This switch on this door does not work for some reason. We're going to look at that in a moment. But that's not so much of a problem. Now, if I open the back door now, got no light at all. So what's going on there? Light goes on, light goes off. I'll sort out that in a second. There's normally a connector here, so we'll just need to check. That's the wire that goes to the switch on the driver's door. We'll leave this door open. Oh, back door. No, maybe I've got the I've made a balls up here. I've switched the fucking these things around. Let me put that one on the floor, and then I've got this one as well. It could be that I have one that didn't work, so I've got the third one, because one of these was definitely functioning. Let's plug that in now, up there. Yeah, right, now let's see if that works. Dun 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 dun. There it goes, obviously. So that's, we'll use that one. I think this is the one, either this one or this one. This one doesn't go off properly. This one doesn't work at all. So we'll leave those two down there. The one that's in the car is out of my stock. Now, if I were to go around, so let's just close the driver's door. Tailgate is open, but I haven't got the switch on it at the moment. Back door on. Both lights are on. Blue clouds again today. Weird things. I don't know where they're coming from. He's off. Front door. This is getting easy to open this because I've given it just an absolute dousing of WD-40. Now it's not the long-term solution, but I was just getting fed up with wearing my fingers out trying to open the door. So lights on. Lights off. So that's that. So we're still going to sort out the courtesy light switch on the driver's door. Now the other thing I wanted to check was when we lock this thing, it wasn't actually arming the alarm, i.e. the indicators weren't working. Still not working. So the alarm is still not arming. Flushes the indicators when you unarm it, but the alarm is not arming for some reason. Okay? But it locks and it unlocks. The other thing that's worth checking out here, the light won't go on when I open this door, we're going to check that out next. If I open the door and close it but then turn the ignition on, it should turn the light off. And I'll be quick enough. I'll put the key in. Oh, right, I disconnected the ignition switch because I was getting perplexed by little issues. So I just pulled the ignition switch connector apart. He's back together again now. We've got ignition, wipers are off. Right, so let's open door, close door, ignition on, light goes off. So that's behaving as it should do, which is good. This switch here is not behaving as it should do. So let me whiz that fella out. I've got the spare switch here, which came off the tailgate at the moment. So at the moment there's no switch on the tailgate. And the reason I had this out is because I was going to disconnect the loom to the back doors to see if the problem was with the front or the back doors, because I was struggling with these two, which are faulty. So I shall mark those as suspect pieces of shit. This, by the way, is the cassette for the cruise control, so I just need to plug that back onto the loom again. I found a little bundle of joy here. Chop blocks. Quite a big chunk of chop blocks as well, all zip tied together. Someone's really got out of their way to join that into the loom. That's not on either. That needs to be connected up. That's for the rear wiper, which I took off because I was just checking terminals on it. So I'll plug that back in a second. It's helpful to have the steering out of the way. You can understand why I took the steering wheel off now. Because fiddling and faffing around in this area is not fun. Right, let me get this this connector out and I'll check the voltage on it. Found out why the driver's courtesy switch doesn't work. So I've just undone the screw and... Ready? I think you need to change your crimp technique, David. Something's gone wrong there, isn't it? Right, I'll feed the wire through and I'll crimp a terminal into it. Put a spade on the end of the wire and the lights are working now. And if I push the plunger in, lights go off. Yeah, works a treat. That's interior door lights now working. So that's been, what, 45 minutes or so. Now, the other thing that I was doing was the rear wiper. You said the rear wash wipe wasn't working. Now, rear wash wipe comes with a fail-safe that if it detects the top tailgate is open, i.e. the interior light is on, it will not operate the wash wipe, the rear wash wipe. This blade. And part of the heater circuit is behind here. Now this has been screwed on. They're not normally screwed on. They're normally pushed on, but it's quite common to find them screwed on, these little fellas here. But I might find a bigger screw to put in there. And then we release this entire vent panel. Should release from the bottom for now and come off in the end, officer. Why is he so tight? I might need to pop this end piece out here. Let's get the washer jet out of the way. I'm going to get a little spatula underneath that end there. But behind here, there is normally a Brillo pad. Now I can see the Brillo pad's missing, and then behind that is the variable resistor. Now, because I can see the wires for the variable resistor through there, you can just about see them here. Because I can see the wires, then that heater unit would have been getting the full onslaught of any weather that this car was driving into. So I suspect, before I pull all this bloody heater unit out, I suspect that that is going to be my root cause here. So it could well be that there's bugger all wrong with the heater unit, but it's the electric. Well, that's interesting. These are a completely different design to mine. So my car is August 93, and this car was manufactured in January 94. So in those 4.5, 5 months, they've changed the design of the front grille. These vent panel grills, and it looks like there's some sort of cartridge that goes in there too. But I noticed that none of them are in place. So we're going to have to look at what the Brillo pad, because I'll show you what normally goes in mine. Let me take a wander into the container. There we are. These are the Brillo pads that normally go behind the vent panels. And when these get all gummed up and stuff, I just lob them in the dishwasher. In fact, that one's got a few flies in it, see? Just lob them in the dishwasher. And this is what, there we are, there's a vent panel. That's what the vent panel looks like on mine. And that just sits behind it, and there's a wire cage that holds it all in place. So that's how they used to look on L95. And on this car, on Aegean Blue, they're a different style. Now, we pulled the cover off quite easily, and inside you can see that that's the old style variable resistor. And you can see that that will have been getting the full onslaught of absolutely everything. There's a grommet there, and that goes through the bulkhead, and there's normally a connector on the other side of it. Sometimes they are trapped in behind the aircon unit. Sometimes. I've had a couple that have been trapped behind the aircon unit, and that just does generally mean you have to take the vent panel off and drop the aircon unit down in order to release the bloody cable, which is a faff, and just hope we don't have to go that far. But I think what I'm going to need to do is get this variable resistor out, because that's not in the best of shape. Just check on the fuses as well. I need to just check which fuse the heater unit uses and make sure that it is getting a supply. The connector, conveniently, for the heater unit is actually on the driver's side of the transmission tunnel. Oh, this door needs adjusting. Down here somewhere, so I'll just get the torch in. It's one of the connectors at the back here, and it feeds through onto the driver's side, because that's all stripped down already. Don't need to faff around with it too much, do I? Right, let's get on with this. Heater relay is good. Just tested that. That's all perfect. So this fella here needs to come out. Now, they're a bit of a bastard to get out, in all honesty, because your hand only just fits in here, but it only just needs to fit in. So what I tend to use is a screwdriver. I've got screwdriver bits that go onto the socket set. So use one of those and just twiddle the screws out with your thumb. These just like two captive screws, one each end. And then get the grommet out at the top there and see if we can find the connector. It's not particularly tight anyway. Then I can check the resistance across all the coils, but also we can bridge the terminals and see if we can get the fan speed to increase just by bridging the terminals up here, which would indicate then further that it's a problem with this. The alternative is that it's the switch. It's going to go medieval today. The alternative is it's this switch here that's caused the problem. Okay, that switch is not sending different signals through, i.e. it's broken. Then again, don't need to take the heater out. In fact, I've got a spare switch on this heater, and it should be exactly the same. That's got much more of a nice click to it. So what I might do is I can take the heater surround panel off. Oh good, another power cut. We've been having quite a few of those recently. Hello Storm Kira, how are you darling? And the power came back on again. Storm Kira, we love Storm Kira. Not. causing fucking chaos in this country. Floods and everything. Right, so if I do need another switch, I've got one. So I think first of all we're going to get that. No, because it's going to be easy to get the variable resistor out than get the switch out. So let's test the variable resistor, because I always go for the easiest shit first. So to get this variable resistor out, we've got a couple of screws up there. To get the switch out, we're going to take half the front of the dash out. So let's do this one first and not disturb the dash. But the reason why I was suspecting the switch was because first of all it's another part of the circuit, but secondly it doesn't really have a super clicky effect to it. It's not the best. Let's take your radio faceplate off as well. I don't want to break that. I take that and the cable off there, pop you in there, along with the toilet roll. Toilet roll's there, by the way, if you ever get bump steer, because you'll need it. Right. Okay, we can do that. That's not going to be horrific. Oh, Storm Kira claimed a victim last night. This is the old windscreen out of the 1972 project, the one that's covered in welding splatter. I mean, it fell over. Oh, for fuck's sake. That was a fucking ground strike, that was. I think I'm getting out from inside this fucking metal shed roof. Right. Oh, come on, torch. Right, the problem we've got here is that I've got the resistor free, but the connector, which you can just about see in there, is trapped in the loom behind the aircon unit. I've had this problem before, and unfortunately it's just going to drop in the aircon unit down from the top of the dash in order to free the fucking thing up, because there's about 4.5 meters of bloody cable flex on this. But for some reason, someone in the factory thought it'd be a bit of a wheeze if they trapped it just enough so that you couldn't actually get to the connector when you pulled the resistor out. So I'm not going to damage it. It's now become easier to remove the switch, so that's what I'm going to do next. Right. If you ever wanted to know the full extent of the sense of humour from Jaguar Land Rover, or Land Rover as they were then, you can just about see the red terminal there. That's the connector. And it's tie wrapped, I believe, onto the loom that goes into the back of the aircon unit. Can you believe these wankers? Can you believe them? And the dash at the moment looks like that. What a bunch of fucking cocks. Oh, by the way, there's quite a lot of mouse evidence up here. I don't think there's any mice in the car anymore, but I think the mice have been in here and ravaged the foams. Right, next thing I need to do, unfortunately, is to slacken because I've got the aircon pipes here. These are the aircon pipes, and I need to slacken the two brackets right at the top up here. There's a bolt there, there's a nut up there, and one over there, which gives me the slack then to pull the aircon pipes through the bulkhead without detaching them. It's what I mean about the sense of humour of these chaps. If you know someone that worked in Lode Lane in the mid-1990s, yeah, those guys had a cracking sense of humour. They really did. And I'll tell you another thing. We know they had a cracking sense of humour because of the P38. Oh yes. There must have been some in-house competition to see how many ECUs and modules they could put in series with each other. Chap just gets kind of a little bit ground down with all this crap sometimes. Right, now these fellas are just a Phillips, but they're going to be tight, aren't they? I'll get a bigger Phillips bit. These things, by the way, are very handy. They're like the ratchet head off a wrench. You just buy them in kits. I've got a 1/4-inch drive one. This one's a 3/8 drive, but that's how I got hold of these screws off in there, because I was able to get one hand wedged in the hole and able to operate that. Clever, huh? Right, let me get this bastard thing out, and then we can. It'll be that one or that one, I expect. Let's find out which one it is, then we can get him off. Much amusement, we've got the switch out. There's the connector on the back of it. You'll notice. Ooh, that's been a bit warm, hasn't it? It's possible it's burnt the switch out inside for some reason, one reason or another. So I've got the resistor out as well. So the resistor looks quite a lot like, oh my goodness, this. And I'm going to test across the circuit. I'll see what we've got going on in here. But in theory this thing should run at full speed. But the fact it's not running at full speed would suggest to me there's a problem with the switch. Because when those things break down, the fan runs at full speed, not at no speed. It was quite stuck on, but it did succumb eventually. So terminal 6 there has been very warm. Very, very, very warm. And the connector in that position, I just need to check the voltage on it and find out what that wire actually does. That is a, oh my goodness, if I can get the thing out far enough, it looks like it is white and grey, white and light green. So it's white, light green, and I think white, light green is the one that takes the supply from the relay. So that's the feed to the switch. It's got awfully warm at some point. So it's likely that this thing is ruined inside. Ruined, I tell you, ruined. So I'm going to go and get the other one off and plug it in. I thought I'd actually just show you this. Right, so we're right in there. You can see the cable tie there, and you can see the red terminal there. So what they've done is they've cable tied it to the main body of the loom, which is why you can't pull the bastard thing through the bulkhead to change it without stripping the dash down. So what I'll do is cut that cable tie, and then come the future, when someone wants to change the resistor, the blower resistor, they won't have to strip half the pissing dash down. Yeah, so I suspect that this has either been changed the Land Rover way, i.e. 9 hours of labour to get the dash apart, which I haven't spent on this, by the way, because I've been here before and I kind of know how these things go together. But so the idea is that it gives me enough slack to pull the connector right through the hole in the bulkhead there, which you can see. Yay!